Hello, my name is Michael Riley. ABA Appliance. I wanted to address something that, and this isn't directed at any manufacturer per se. You'll all get the idea of what I'm talking about here in a second when I start describing it. This is about the misconception that sensors on cars are reliable. They're not. It's just a flat statement. They're not, and they shouldn't be. They can be for periods of time, but you never know when they're going to fail. Everybody, and this is a thing that I don't understand. People are paying $50,000 for a self-driving car and thinking that it's going to be safe. I mean, I was online and I engineer for. Here's an example. It's not about a certain manufacturer, but I'll mention this one because some statements from these engineers are just unbelievable. It's like ignorance, ignorance, or just lying to the public. I don't know which it is, because there's no informed statements being made. They're just not informed and educated and backed up by reality. This engineer is making statements from Tesla. He's out there driving these Tesla cars, these self-driving cars, saying that they're much safer than the human eye or the human hand, or the human reaction. There's like a partial ounce of truth to that, but there's so many different facets of it that are just, it's impossible to even, I mean, this goes off in so many directions that I'm going to be all over the place here in a second. First of all, my first impression by the statement is that I'm driving down the road and my intuition, I'm seeing a car cannot see, sensors cannot see what I see. They can't, because I see kids over on the right playing with a ball, and first thing that says in my mind is, careful, that ball might go into the street. Is the computer, the sensor in the computer saying that? No, it's not, and it can't, because the sensor is probably mounted down on the car, which it is, and I'm sitting up so much higher, I can see the field of view, I can see those kids. The sensor can't see them behind the car that's parked on the side of the street, and the kids are behind them, the car, playing. The sensor can't see that. There's a million different, billion, trillion different examples of that. The sensors cannot see this. And if they do see it, then they react that there's something there, so look out, slam the brakes on. That's not any way to control a situation. Now you just created a problem for people behind you of slamming the brakes on. And these are comments from people online that are driving these cars that it keeps slamming the brakes on every 5 seconds, because it sees something. Are you kidding? That's not any way that you drive a vehicle, not safely. You got people behind you, that creates a tremendous hazard. Just like on freeways, there's signs on certain freeways that say, slower traffic, stay to the right. Well, people don't do that. They want to text and everything, so they get in the left lane so they don't have to be interrupted with people slowing down, and they stay a half a mile behind the car in front of you, and they're going slower than the speed limit, but they're safe in that lane so they can sit. I've seen, this is crazy, and I'm not picking on any of this, is just facts. Because I've driven probably in excess of 2 million miles, probably closer to almost 3 million now, doing service for 40 plus years, driving on the road, going to customers' homes. This is where I come from. Electrical engineer is my background, Arizona State University. But I did service my whole career. I was out there actually working on things. So that's where this really comes from, is the practical application and what the reality is of these parts that these engineers that are in a lab have no idea about. Or they do, but I think they don't. They're just ignorant. So I've driven so many miles. I mean, these cars, you got people, the cars slamming on their brakes and everything, and people don't know what's going on behind them or in front of them, and people get impatient, and then they want to go around the car, and the reason the car is doing that possibly is because there is a possible threat in front of the car, but you don't know. It's like calling fire in a theater when there's not a fire, but the person keeps calling it every 5 seconds, but there's no fire. You don't know what to believe anymore, so you, as humans, we just tend to, persons, that's not reliable, and let's get around this, let's get past this. And that's what happens. It becomes more dangerous. It's crazy that everybody knows that when you use a computer, and everybody uses them, they use their phone, you use their phone and you're going through videos and everything, what happens? You got to restart your phone. You got to restart your computer because the memory uses up the memory. And it bogs way down, and you got to release the memory. And the only way you can do that, you can try to do it by trying to release it. There's different applications on computers and stuff, not phones so much, but there's computers cleaning out the cache and all that kind of garbage. But that doesn't reset it back and free up all your memory. It doesn't. No matter how many times you do it or whatever, restarting the computer is going to reinitialize everything and get your memory back. Memory bogging down is what really kills. There's a couple other things, but memory bogging down is the biggest thing that bogs down a computer. But the other problem is we have elements involved. So to finish that point, to rely on a computer is nuts. For your life, your livelihood, that you're going to drive around and not put your hands on the wheel? Are you kidding? You might as well just go out and jump off a cliff and don't do that. I'm not suggesting you do that. But that's how crazy it is. I mean, who with any common sense whatsoever would get into a vehicle and take your hands off the wheel and let a computer drive you that doesn't have the common sense and intuition of seeing something or anticipating something? Computers can't anticipate something. When you see those kids over on the right, your mind automatically, and if you don't even have to think about it, especially if you've been driving sometimes, quite a while, you know that those things happen, so you're going to be on guard in case it does. But you're not slamming on the brakes because you saw the kids in the grass, because it might happen. The computer probably do that. These computers, I've seen videos of it. They're just it's crazy. But the other thing that's crazy is that they're accelerating down these streets. It doesn't matter whether the speed limit is, and we all know this. If the speed limit is 35, and we're in somewhat of a residential, most of them are 25, but if you're in that, that the streets are wider and it's not so much residential, there's parks and stuff, it might be 35. And that car is just going the speed limit because that's the speed limit. It has no idea that there's a park right there, and the same thing. Kids might run out. You tend to slow down a little bit in those areas. Car's not going to do that. It knows that the speed limit is 35. It's going the speed limit. Are you kidding? No. There's no common sense whatsoever in this. There's no safety in this. You can't just barrel ahead because the speed limit's 35. That'd be like going to court and telling the judge, the speed limit was 35. I was allowed to go 35. You know? Yeah, but there's kids around. The judge is going to say, ignorance is no excuse. You killed those kids because you didn't slow down, and it was obvious to anybody driving down that street, but the sensor is not going to see those kids and assume the possibility of a threat that they may run out. The computer doesn't know that. Our mind, a computer cannot think like our mind does. We think, okay, these kids, and they're getting too close, and we're driving up, we're getting closer and closer, we're seeing they're getting closer to the street. Computer's not reading that. Computer can't decipher that might be a threat. They're not a threat at the moment, so computer just doesn't see it. It's got to be a threat in the path of the sensor. There's nothing safe about that. People, stop trusting these computers. It's insane. And it's getting people killed that are doing this, that are buying these vehicles. This is the most insane thing that I've ever heard and experienced in my whole life. I don't want to be anywhere around a self-driving car on the road. No way. If I see one, I'm as far away from that vehicle as I can get. And I pity anybody that's in the path of it. Especially these big trucks that they want to do this with. Are you kidding? Tons and tons of steel and metal, and you're a goner. There's no way that it's ever going to be safe to have a self-driving car, ever. And this is the argument that I had with this engineer. I was like, how can you make these claims that are not true? They're not safer than a human being. A human being is much safer. Yes, it may react quicker in that instant that it sees something, but it overreacts too. And it creates a car accident where our mind says, we see the car behind us, we can't slam on our brakes, we've got to pump it so that we come to a decent stop, not hit the thing that's in front of us, threaten that's in front of us, but we also don't stop too quick. That car behind us and everybody else behind that slams into them. We have to think a lot more than that computer would. The thing is if you could, a computer only is as smart as the person that programs it. Don't forget that. You have to program the computer. That goes along, and I'm not going to go too far into this, but that goes along with AI right now. AI is insane, and it's not to be trusted. AI is basically saying, I'm gonna keep filling myself with information of what is now and what is tomorrow and what is next day, and I'm gonna come up with a closer and closer approximation of what it should be. Well, there's many years of it being totally wrong. I mean, we've seen examples, if you looked at AI and as it's coming out, where it's totally wrong. I mean, this recording, doing the recordings of artists and stuff, that's, anybody could do that. You could do that on a mixer. I mean, that's not AI, it's copywriting infringement. You record that voice and then you recreate it because you have that recorded voice. That's just stupidity. That's not AI. I mean, this is so ridiculous. AI is just assuming what it might be, is probably the best way I can put it. And it's totally wrong in so many cases, in most cases, until it fine-tunes, and this could be over years. Well, to me, that's just a waste of time and everything. I want nothing to do with it. And it's dangerous because it can be so wrong. To trust a computer with your life, you know, and then people might say, "Oh, well, what about hospitals and stuff with the computers?" You got doctors, human beings that are monitoring that computer, and computers in hospitals they fault also, and they have to reset them and they have to replace them. I've had monitors, but they've had 3 or 4 of them. They hook up and it's not working, and they go get another one. Finally, they get one that's working. Perfect example. I mean, a blood pressure cuff. How many people have been to a doctor? Think about it, people. Real life experience. Computers are not reliable. They're just not. They can fault. They can glitch. We've heard that term, glitch. And when they do, you have to restart them. You have that problem with your phone and your tablet and your laptop, everything. You got to restart it because it's got a glitch going on. That's a computer. That's the normal nature of a computer. They glitch. So you want this computer to glitch in your car when you're driving and you don't have your hands on the wheel? I don't think so. I don't think everybody has a death wish, but buying one is a death wish because you're being ignorant and uneducated and just putting everything that you know and you've lived, throwing it out the window and saying, I'm going to trust this. This is reliable because Tesla, Elon, and his engineers say it is. They're lying to you with ignorance or knowingly lying. If they're knowingly lying, they're liable for everybody's life. There is no way it's ever going to be safe, ever. You cannot make a computer safe. The reason is because it takes a human to make it work and to program it. And you can only program that computer with as much knowledge as you put into it. It doesn't know the intuition and everything that we have in our mind. Our brain is smarter than a computer. It is. Because we have all that information in it from the day we're born. It adds and adds and adds and adds. It's kind of like AI. AI is in its infancy. It was just born. It has to put all this information into it before it can be as smart as it needs to be to know all the facts. It's just like somebody not being younger that doesn't have all the facts. They've experienced something and they think that's the way it is. And somebody else that's older or more experienced says, no, you're not adding this into it. Oh, yeah, right. Because this is how this reacts with this, and then this would be the result. Perfect analogy. Okay? It's only as smart as it's gathered information into it. And that's the way our brain works as we get older. That's why it's a joke about, it's not even a joke, it's pretty much really sad these days, worse than I've ever seen it. The younger people think they know everything. We all know that statement. It's always been stated every day, every generation. They think they know everything. And when they get older, they learn they didn't know as much as they thought they knew. Perfect example of what I'm explaining here. And it's the same way that computers are. They don't know everything just because you turn it on. They don't. They only know what you process and put into it. The data you put into it is what it knows. So it's only as smart as a human programming it, and how much the human that programmed it. And you can't program it with everything. That'd be impossible. Impossible. Just like I'm saying, kids playing on the grass in the yard, way up there, but the sensor can't even see it because it's down on the bumper, on the body of the car, because there's a car in the way of the sensor. So I can't see those kids playing with that ball, and assume it's possible they might not. So be careful going by here. Car doesn't know to do that. It just barrels ahead because it's 35 miles an hour. Kid runs out there, no chance to stop because it's going too fast, and kills the kid or kids. Where you as a human saw that, slowed down a little bit, you may be going 28, 25, but it gives you more of a stopping distance. And you're ready for it. That instantaneous nanosecond could mean life or death to those kids, and better chance they're going to be alive because you were anticipating it. Computer can't anticipate, okay? So enough of that. Elon, stop ripping people off and endangering people. I will call you out on this. And the engineers, you know who you are that I talk to, unbelievable, giving false hopes to people and information that is just wrong. The car is 5 times safer than a human. No, it's not. No, it's not. And you got lawsuits in the courts right now where you've killed people. You've killed people with your irresponsible product that can never be safe. Yeah, it's a dream. And that's all you are. You're not an engineer. Your father was an engineer. I don't know how much of an engineer he was, Elon. But you brag about that all the time. You're not. You're a wannabe. And you've built the public for false products that are dangerous. They'll never work. And it's unbelievable that people are falling for this, especially the younger generation. $50,000 for a car that's your death trap. It's a coffin. I can buy a coffin a lot cheaper than that. 10, 12 grand. And you could buy a car cheaper than that, than the death traps that you're making. Stop lying to the public and stop endangering them. And National Safety Vehicle Association, you need to stop this. You got people online letting you know how dangerous this stuff is, and you're just still allowing it. It's unbelievable that you're doing. You're complacent. Your complacency is going to kill all these people. You're also responsible for their deaths by allowing this to continue and be on the road. You need to ban these vehicles from the road for the safety of everybody, not just the people that buy them and drive them or don't drive them. They take their hands off the wheel. For everybody else that's around them. These are terribly unsafe. Another reason why here's application and service input for these sensors. These sensors are not reliable. The reason is because when you work on this stuff, and I've worked on it for over 40 years, especially the electronic stuff, in the last 20 years, when you work on this stuff, sensors are really susceptible to cold, heat, and moisture. Extremely and susceptible. They crack. They're made out of plastic. The heat, the cold. The other thing is, just like this, if this was a sensor, you've got to have a lead going in. You got to have electrical lead going in, or signal lead. So where it goes in to the body of the sensor, it's got to be sealed. You got to seal it from moisture and from rain and everything else. It's got to have an IP value of, in the 60s. So it's waterproof. 66, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69. It's got to be waterproof. This connection, this seal right here where it goes into the body is notorious in everything that has sensors. It's sealant, okay? It's sealant. So it ends up voiding or cracking or somehow voiding itself to where it's not sealed anymore over time, over years, over heat, over cold. It cracks. It starts to let moisture in. What happens? The sensor is now getting moisture inside. It can't read properly because it's shorting out. The moisture is messing with the sensor inside. Typically speaking, I'm not going to go into the insides of them, but in a lot of sensors, I'll just say this, a lot of sensors, they're actually just a resistor. And it builds more resistance. I'm just using that as an example. When you get water in there, moisture, it just builds more resistance. So the computer that's plugged in, this is plugged into, the computer that's plugged in here is reading the values from the sensor. Could be resistance values, could be, I'm just going to stay there, keep it simple, resistance. But it could be a lot of different values. This signal now going to the computer, if there's moisture in here or something wrong inside, is not an accurate signal anymore. It's not, because it's bested up because there's moisture getting in there. That's the biggest problem with sensors, is they tend to get the elements inside of them because the seal where the lead goes in cracks or whatever, or the body of the sensor cracks, usually from heat or cold. Okay, you could have like 180 degrees because you're in a real hot climate and it's on the car, maybe higher than that, and then you might be in the cold and you've got maybe below zero. Cold, hot, it finally cracks the plastic. They have the same thing on like refrigerators, freezers. They have a heater, defrost heater in them. And they've got a bimetal inside to tell what temperature it is, so that the heater, it's a safety device to turn the heater off. And this is not just in freezers and refrigerators. There's a lot of different things that have a heater. There's a safety in there. And that safety is a thermostat, and it's got a lead going into it. And the sensors now, they used to have a mechanical thermostat, now they have the sensors. And the heater comes on at 100 degrees, it's only on for a very short period, just a few minutes, and then it goes off. But while it's heating up, then it drops back down to zero. After it goes to 100, it drops down to zero. So the plastic is undergoing 100 degrees, and then all of a sudden it's back to zero. It stresses the plastic, and it cracks. And the body of it cracks, and the moisture gets in. I've seen it a million times. This is the problem with sensors. You can't trust them. You can't trust a car with sensors on them. Okay? So it's not just the self-driving cars. We have a lot of things that we have to be careful about when there's sensors and computers involved. If you've got a newer refrigerator and it's got a bunch of sensors on it, and you've had problems with it, which you're going to, they're a nightmare. And the techs have a hard time figuring them out sometimes because it's no obvious. The sensor can be working 1 second, and then the moisture migrates and moves it, and it screws up the sensor, and now it's getting a wrong reading to the computer. But it can be reading properly and then not, and then reading properly and not. They're not trustworthy, okay? The reason that I am doing this video is to point out that sensors are not reliable. And so now on some of the vehicles, they have sensors that they're calling overtake sensors. So you can overtake the vehicle in front of you. Are you kidding? I'm not trusting a sensor that's telling me by no visual that there's something there, but it doesn't know what it is. or there's nothing there. But just like in the case of the kids on the front yard, there's a car in the way, so it can't see the kids. So so the sensor tells me there's no kids, but there are, and I can go 35 miles. No, you can't trust the sensor, because there can be things, objects in the way of that sensor, whatever. But with the visual, you can see the kids. Sensor can't see them because there's a car in the way, parked in front of the house. So it's not safe. Another example why the car, self-driving car, is not safe, because for the kids or you, because there's a car in the way. It can't see the kids, and the kids are running towards the street. And in 1 second, they're going to be in the street. The sensor doesn't know that, has no idea about that until they're in the street. Too late at that point. They're dead. So with this overtake sensors that they put out a few years back, not safe. Do not pass with those. You don't know what this sensor is seeing or not seeing. You have no visual on what. I'm not passing and trusting the sensor. You go ahead and pass if you want. You go ahead and drive that self-driving car that's not safe. I'm not doing that. Common sense is like, are you kidding? If I can't visually see and have my hands on and know what's going on, I'm so bad, I don't like riding with somebody else driving. I want to be in control of my destiny. Okay? I'm not letting a car control whether I live or die. I'm just not doing it. This is why so many younger people, I can't believe when I see, every day I'm seeing these deaths of these younger people. Stupidity stuff. It's like, are you kidding? I don't know if we're going to have a younger generation here pretty soon. This keeps up. Because the stupidity is just killing them off left and right. And the drugs and everything else. Where's the common sense? Well, they're approving illegal drugs to be legal. And we wonder why there's so many shootings and stuff. These kids are getting high and doped up, and they're going out and doing stuff they wouldn't normally do. And the parenting is not controlling any of it. They're not giving them proper information to live life properly. That's a whole other subject. But it's making sure that you control your destiny and you're safe about what your choices are. Unless you just don't want to be here. But if you're all drugged up, you don't care whether you're here or not. You don't even think about it, I would suppose, because I've just never done that world. I think it's despicable. The sensors are not safe to see to pass, because you don't know what it's seeing or not seeing. And not seeing is the worst part. Because if it doesn't see a vehicle that is coming and you go, you're head-on collision, you're dead. You want to trust that? I don't. I need to visually see in front of me that there's nothing coming. I'm not trusting anybody. It's just like when people say it's clear. Just like you have people in a vehicle with you, and you're going to turn, and you can't see past that vehicle, and they're telling you you still don't trust it if you're smart. They say you're clear, but as soon as you edge out a little bit, I have to, and if anybody's smart, you're going to do it too. You're not going to trust what they tell you. You don't know what their vision is, or if it was obstructed, or they don't see a car coming a little bit farther off that's going really fast. I don't know what their field of view is. I'm not going to trust that they're telling me it's clear. I'm not going to do that. So I have to pull out a little bit, and then I got to look myself and make sure what they said was accurate. Also, a split second from the time they say it to you edging out, a car could have already come. Just a split second. So you got to recheck anyways. Visually. Do not trust these sensors. Please. If you value your life, do not trust these sensors. They will get you killed. Eventually. They're not safe. And they're not reliable. And they aren't more reliable than a human eye or human intuition. They're just not. They never can be because we program them. And you can't program everything into them. It'd be impossible. Every anticipation, you couldn't do it. Every emotion, whatever. So I've been working on something for 10 years. And that is a safe way to see in front of the vehicle in front of you. And it's visual. It has to be visual. I think most of you would agree with me that have common sense and value your life. Just like the example of taking somebody else's word that it's clear, you have to visually look yourself. We always have to visually look if we're smart. I'm not saying you're dumb if you don't, but you're taking a risk with your own life that you shouldn't take. And it could end your life because you trusted what somebody else said without verifying it. That's all I say is you need to verify. Can you verify what the computer's telling you? No. You're just trusting it. I'm not. Are you kidding? I'm not trusting a computer to tell. When they have glitches, like I was telling you, things can go wrong with them. And you don't know if that's happening or not. But if you go online and watch these cars, they're all kinds of crazy stuff, swerving and everything else out of the blue. Pulling in front of cars. They don't know what to do. It's like somebody knew a new driver is on the road. That's basically what it is. Because they haven't learned everything and they never will be able to. It's exactly how these new self-driving cars are. They're like a new driver that doesn't know what to do. So he swerves because he sees a car coming, but we know the car's not coming fast. We're safe enough to go out in front of it and speed up. We know, okay, but that new driver sees a car, doesn't look at the speed, doesn't have all that information in their head yet because they're a new driver. This is what the cars are like. They're reacting because they sense a car, and so they're trying to avoid it all of a sudden, and then they cause an accident. It's no common sense. These computers have no common sense, and they never can. Computer's not about common sense. It's only the common sense of the person that programmed it. And that person's got no common sense. To be programming it in the first place and tell people it's safe to drive them, that's not common sense. None. That's actually should be criminal. That you're falsely giving people hopes that can never be true and endangering their lives. I hope Elon pays big for this. And these get banned, but also legally, he gets taken down because jeopardizing people's lives like this is wrong. And the National Transportation Safety Board needs to stop this now. Ban these vehicles and start. Apparently the National NTSB has no common sense themselves, or they're being paid off to be allowing these. They're dangerous to everybody on the road. Even if you're not on the road, they're veering off and killing people. So I've been working on this, I don't know if you want to call it invention or whatever. It's a product that I've been working on for 10 years to see in front of your vehicle in front of you. And we all know that that's a big problem. So they're trying to solve it with these sensors, overtake sensors, that are dangerous. You don't know if you can rely on that, trust it, because you don't know what it's sensing. So my product actually allows you to visually see what's in front of you and in front of the vehicle in front of you. Most people have seen this is just and this is not what mine is all about. But we've all seen these commercials, I think Chevy or Ford or whatever, where they have a trailer behind them and they can see behind the trailer. It's because there's more than one camera. And the one camera that's behind your truck is shutting off the view of the trailer, and there's a camera on the back of the trailer. So they're merging the images together, the video, so that it looks like you could see through the vehicle. Well, you can't. We all know that. You can't see through it. But it also changes the depth of field, and that makes a big deal because depth of field is something that we are able to tell how far away somebody is and what a threat they are by a perceived speed that they might be doing, and that's from experience in driving. That's like a new driver doesn't know how fast that car is, that it's a threat. If it's going really slow, then, but a new driver just doesn't have that figured out yet in their head. Experienced driver does. They know they are safe to pull in front of it because they're not going fast enough. Depth of field is extremely important, like I said. So, this product, I'm really close to finishing it. I have one last facet, and I'm going to be really guarded here because not only the Chinese, mostly the Chinese, are knocking off everything. I produced a product for breast cancer survivors, 2013, and was invited to Hollywood, California to introduce it to the celebrities and their mothers on Mother's Day, 2013. And there was worldwide press and it went all over. So once it did that, it's open to all these Chinese companies, and we all know this is true. They knock off everything. And the United States is allowing it to be sold in the United States. That should be banned. Knockoffs are counterfeit. And it's not fair but there's nothing you can do about it anymore. They just keep allowing it to happen. So, same thing with this. I want to be really guarded because I know somebody will take it. But you're now going to be able to see in front of you. See. No sensors. No sensors that beep or alert you that there's a car or it's you can pass now and say something like that. I'm not trusting that because I'm not seeing it. I need to see that there's no cars coming before I jeopardize my life to a sensor that may be wrong. People don't believe the sensors, okay? Please stop. And stop buying these self-driving cars that endanger your life. Computers and sensors are not safer than human. They're not. They never can be. I've explained that. You can't put enough information in them. It'd be almost impossible to put every emotion and every intuition, everything. It's almost impossible. But then examples of where there's a car in the way, I can't even see it. We're sitting up so much higher, we visually see the kids. There's no way a computer can ever be safer than a human. So this allows you to visually see in front of the vehicle, a big truck. I know it's like you want to know how it works, especially those that are curious. But I'll say this. I mold over many different options. And there's going to be some accessories to this as well. That's another way of seeing in front of you. The only problem with that is regulation. There might be a regulation. There is a regulation. I can get around it slightly, but there's a safety issue, and it's not to the driver. It's to the surrounding people of the vehicle that wants to see in front of it. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to go any further because I don't want to give away what it is. But it's an accessory that I may make as an accessory. But I don't think I'll need to. Once I get this launched, I've already tested it. Prototype's been made. Like I said, I've been working on this 10 years. I'm really excited about getting it out there. But it's not sensor. There are some sensors for different purposes, but not to let you know yes or no you can pass. But they're not. It's a visual. You're going to be able to visually see in front of the vehicle. The big truck in front of you that you can't see in front of. You know, and you kind of like, and you can't go because they're so wide. You can't get over far enough and go across the line, or there's a car right there that's going to slam into you head on. So you can't get around them. Now you can see in front of them. You can see in front of that big truck. So you know if there's any vehicles coming. So then you can take You could take off and go around it. It's going to change everything. But you're going to be visually able to make your own decision. And that's the only safe way to do anything. Drive everything. We have to visually be able to see what's going on to visually, safely decide yes or no. Not that an alert says, you can pass now. In that second that it just said that, there's another car coming, it's not safe to pass. So that just expired. And you go to pass and you're head on. See what I'm saying? It only takes, everybody knows when they pull out that if they wait 1 second, there's a car coming now. You can't turn now. Because just 1 second, 1 split second, and there's a car. We're talking speed here, where these cars are coming out of nowhere because it's 60, 70 miles an hour, or on a freeway, it could be 70 to 80. In an instant, a nanosecond, that car is coming out of nowhere. You can't trust a sensor to tell you, because in that second that you evaluate what the sensor said to you, there's another car, and now you're dead. Yeah, they're not safe, because it takes time for us to say, do I want to go or not? And in that instant, another car comes, you go out there to pass. It told me to pass. Duh. I just gave you the example. In that instant, that flinch at 70, 80 miles an hour, that car was not in view at that second. But when you thought about it for an instant, the car is now 80 miles an hour. It's now right there where it's going to kill you. Not safe, these overtake sensors. Not at all. So do not trust them. This is the way to go. Visually, you can decide it's time to go, and you turn the wheel. There's no delay. You see it, boom, you're gone. You accelerate, and you pass. So I've been working on it a long time. I'm keeping it guarded. I'm actually looking for investors right now. That's not the purpose of the video, but if there is one out there hearing this, get a hold of me. My information will be around the video wherever it's posted. And there's going to be an NDA involved, of course. This is going to be very guarded. I know that in the long run, there will be seconds and thirds of this, because it really is just straightforward. It's common sense, and it's safe. We know that we're not going to walk. If somebody tells you to walk, put a blindfold on, and tell you, a lot of people are not going to do that. I don't want to do it because I don't know what they're going to walk me into, especially if I don't know them. Go up onto a cliff and put a blindfold on and have somebody walk you around. No way, I'm not doing that. They'll walk me right off the cliff, especially if they don't like me. That's what you're doing with these self-driving cars and these overtake sensors. You're putting a blindfold on and letting somebody decide whether you live or die. I'm going to decide whether I live or die. And I'm going to visually make sure I know what I'm doing before I do it, so I have a better chance of living. Okay? And I think a lot of people with common sense would agree with that. You have to control your own destiny. Can't trust anybody else to do that. And the sensors are somebody else. Somebody else's idea that, like Elon Musk, that we can drive safely. Safer, 5 times safer, he says. Are you kidding? He's just lying to everybody and stealing their money. That's why he has the most money in the world. Because he's stealing money from people with lies. There's nothing true about it being 5 times safer. There's nothing true about it being safer at all. Computers are not safer than the human. They're just not in driving a vehicle. And I've given that example and many examples of why. They cannot think like a human. Human programs them. Okay? Could be a stupid human that programmed it. But even then, no computer, even if it was the smartest human, knows everything a human mind does. It just doesn't, and it never can. And they have glitches. We all know that. Phones, computers. We have to restart them all the time. Go to the store. The credit card won't go through it because the system's running too slow. Right there. Example I talked to in the beginning. It's bogged down. It has to be restarted. You want that happening in your car? And it kills you because of it? Because it is going to bog down. It is going to have glitches. There's not, if it does or doesn't, it is going to. Every computer has glitches. I don't want a car driving me and that is going to have glitches. You just hope that glitch doesn't cause your death. I'm not going to put myself in that situation, people. And anybody that would has a death wish. You don't care about your life. Wake up. He's selling a bill of goods to people that just is a total lie. And people are falling for it. $50,000 for a death trap? I mean, I couldn't believe it when I found out the prices of this garbage. Dangerous, unbelievable dangerous. So, I'm excited about getting this product out. I'm very close to doing so. And I want to get a little bit of hype out there about it pre-launch. And some questions, or even, like I said, if it wasn't the purpose of the video, but if there's investors out there that want to jump aboard, you're more than welcome to contact me. I'll talk to you. I'm going to weed out the garbage. I am. I've had a few investors now. They want me to subscribe and pay them monthly. I'm not paying you anything. You want part of my program. You're the one giving me the money to invest in it and to make money when it goes crazy. I'm not paying you. That's how they get their money. It's scams like that. Ridiculous. So if you're one of those, stay to yourself. I want nothing to do with you. I just want straightforward, smart, common sense people that would like to have an opportunity to jump on board and get this into mass production and finalized and out to the market to make safer for drivers. And I think in the long run, insurance companies and car companies will try to steal the design. And I know that's going to happen. They're brutal. But to just keep it positive, car companies in the future, I think, will incorporate this type of thing, where you have a visual. It's not difficult. It was just figuring out the best way to do it and how to do it, and I've done that. And it works. It's amazing. It's when I first time I drove with it, I was like, wow. I couldn't believe it. I was like, you see in front of the vehicles, all of them. It's just amazing. It took a while to figure it out and how to do it and everything else, but wow. And it's a wow moment. It really is. I think people would agree. Wow. It's almost kind of a duh moment too. And I don't want to say too much because it'll possibly give it away. But it works, and everything's recorded as well. So you're able to, for safety reasons, for any safety reasons or whatever, or just to go back to it, like I'll be doing, is showing footage from the recordings of it in action. So it's an amazing invention. I'm going to call it an invention, and that's what I do. I try to think of things and keep it to common sense, but also safety. Safety is first and foremost. As an electrical engineer, I don't trust electronics, okay? And I go against the grain because I'm different because I've worked out in the field and worked on it. I've done the service end and repair. So I know how unreliable they are firsthand. But most engineers work in a shop, in an office with a computer. They have no idea what's actually happening in the service world. that they're failing. They have no idea. None whatsoever. They just think this is the best thing in the world. They don't think about moisture getting into it and everything else. And why they designed it a certain way out of whatever materials. And right here, this is the biggest problem on all sensors where the lead goes in. You get cracks and voids and moisture gets in there. And the signal is all screwed up. And it's also doesn't, it's the most minute. It could be the most minute, a pinhole. And you get moisture in there. So tech, when he goes out to look at it and it's working, and that's what happens, he's like, I don't know what's wrong. Unless he's experienced. And then he goes right to the sensor and says, it's either the sensor or the computer. Let's replace the sensor first, because the sensor is cheaper, and then the computer, if the sensor doesn't solve it. Because the signal is not being received properly from the computer, or the signal is being received properly, but the computer is not reading it properly. So it's just the sensor or the computer. It's that simple. But they're like, well, there's nothing wrong with it. I don't see anything wrong with it. Well, when you have experience, and there's no way of testing it, unless it's shorting at the moment, but a lot of times just moving it around, there's moisture in there. So you can actually displace the moisture and test it, and it tests okay. So that's the problem with these electronics. They can test okay, but it can cost you your life because it failed. So don't trust sensors. Overtake sensors, do not trust them. They're alerting you that there's no vehicle there, but it doesn't know that when you decide to go, you might have a vehicle or something might be in the way of it sensing it, and it doesn't see the vehicle. It could be a guard on whatever, a guard on a vehicle in front of you or something that it's hitting that, because the field of view is what it has to worry about. And if there's something in the way of that field of view that it's seeing from, and the field of view it can be 20 degrees, it can be 90 degrees. How much is the field of view of the sensor? Something else. Something over here could be telling you you're going to pass on the left, but something over on the right could be causing a problem. And the sensing is sensing it. But it's not even in the passing lane. You see what I'm saying? There's too many variables involved. I'm not trusting my life to that because I don't know what the specs are on the control. And these are things that people just think that it's going to pinpoint. It doesn't do that. There's always a field of view, okay? And it could be 20, it could be 10, it could be 90. You don't know what the manufacturer put on it. And so as a driver, you don't even consider those things. But they're huge, very huge in the safety of you relying on how that sensor works and whether you can trust it or not. And I say don't trust it because you don't know what it's sensing. Bottom line, you can't see it. If you can't see it, don't pass. If you can't see with your own eyes that it's clear, don't pass. And that's why I had to invent this and make this product in that regard, that you can, as a driver, make that informed decision with your own eyes and your own mind. That you see it's clear and you go. Okay? So that's where this product is going to be so much different. It's going to go back to the old way things were done. You're not going to have to worry about the glitches of computers. I think in a lot of cases we need to get away from some of the electronic stuff for safety reasons. They say it's more efficient and everything, but it has problems. Mechanical controls didn't have problems. And there's not that much savings in, it's just not. If there is at all. I've been working on them, and anyway, so don't trust the computers just like you do with your phone and your computer. You have to restart it all the time. You're going to do that with a car before? No, you're not. While you're driving, your car's going to restart and reboot the computer? No. So if it's glitching, you're done. You're done. You might as well just You're done. Kiss your butt goodbye. You trusted Elon or whoever made the car. And you paid $50,000. So it must be a good car. Yeah, it's a good coffin. It's not even that good of a coffin. I don't think it's going to be very comfortable for your afterlife. No, you're going to have to sit upright all the time. I'd rather lay down. Just saying. I hope Elon pays the price for his fraudulent garbage. Telling people it's something safe, 5 times safer when it's not. It's the nature of computers. You can't change them. That's what they are. They're not reliable when they're not. So, I look forward to, it's called, I'm going to say this, Passing Cam. Once again, just straightforward. There's a website up about it, but the website does not give much at all. So that you have no idea how it really works. I put stuff on there to kind of deflect in different directions so you'd have no idea what it's really about. It's not what's on exactly what's on the website. That's on purpose. Because I know how devious people are and how people steal everything these days. More so than ever before. It's just unbelievable. People want somebody else's ideas for themselves and take credit for it and make money off it. Especially the Chinese. They're doing it constantly. Knockoffs for counterfeit. We're not doing anything about it to stop it, and we need to. So, I know it's a long video, but I wanted to share the reasons that it's not safe. Please don't trust these self-driving cars, and please do not trust. Take your life in your own hands, in your own eyes, to make the decision whether to pass. Don't trust overtake sensors. Please don't do that. This will be out. It's December of 2023 right now. I should have this out in just a few months, hopefully. Investor or not, I'm still going to go forward. It's just going to take longer for me if that happens to be the case, that I don't get an investor. It'd be much quicker if I get an investor and I can get more people on board, because it's just me right now. So it definitely would take longer, especially if I started getting orders. If you do see it and it does become available and you do order, it's going to be disclaimers all over the place that it's going to be this much of a delay before you get it. Please be patient. Okay, you'll get it. I know how impatient people are these days because of eBay and Amazon. Order something on Amazon, in 45 minutes you're going to get it delivered to your house. That's not going to happen, okay? And I won't be selling it on eBay or Amazon. All they do is rip you off with fees. eBay is ripping me off like about 20% right now. It's just criminal. What are they doing? They're allowing me a space on a page. That's it. It's ridiculous. So, be patient. If it gets out, there's going to be a delay in the beginning. It could be 2-3 months. Okay? Just be patient. If you're not, I'm going to cancel the order. I'm not going to deal with it. Just not going to deal with impatience. And we've got too many people anymore that are like that. You're not going to get it. In fact, if you are really overboard with the impatience, I will never sell to you. I'll ban you. I just don't, this entitlement garbage, I just don't get into. Okay? You're not entitled to anything. You're contact a credit card company that I haven't received my purchase and I paid 3 days ago. Are you kidding? You go cry to somebody else. Okay? Because there'll be warnings all over, disclaimers that there's a delay and how long the delay is. And if it's 3 months, and I say about 3 months, and I won't say an exact number, so you better read clearly, because I've been doing this 40 years, selling stuff as well. It'll be a range, and it will be an about situation where I say about. If it's 3 months and I don't have it ready to ship yet? Be patient, okay? Because I'll put a plus sign, 3 months plus, on there. That could be infinite. It won't be infinite. But it just says, I'm letting you know it could be more than 3 months. So be patient, okay? You'll get it if you order. That's when I get to the point of production and shipping and ordering. So get a little bit ahead of the cart with the horse. But I want you to know that I want to work with you. I want people to be safe. This is why I spent so many years putting this together. There's a lot of elements involved in it, safety elements. And bottom line is you can visually see in front of the vehicle in front of you again. Passing cam. Okay, that's going to be it for now. I'm Michael Riley. It's passingcam.com is where there's a website up there, but like I said, it's not accurate at all about what the product is. I haven't put it on there yet. I put deceiving pictures on there so that people won't steal it from me. So it's just kind of a conceptual, there's something coming. Okay, so Michael Riley, I'm back in Arizona where I grew up. So I was in San Diego for 30 years, but I'm back home in Arizona. So look for Passing Cam coming up here in the near future, hopefully in the next few months. Okay, and be patient if you do order at that time when it becomes available. Okay, all right, take care. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.